Always think of you when spring comes, like it's something in the air at that time. Don't know why. Always dream of you when spring comes. It's like the heat on my skin takes me back to the time that you wanna Friday. Halfway out at the door of the club, playing soul on the weekends. Stayed in bed till Wednesday. Fell in love with you right there and then. I was young, couldn't see that. Leather jacket, though it's too cold, Saw your face in the crowd and I think with all eyes. Her just perfect, yeah, she's beautiful. Never thought you'd be here, it took me by surprise. When I met you in the doorway, and a friend, never thought I would see you this soon. Hope she really loves you, 'cause I swear you deserve everything. Wish that I knew that sooner. We got sober, it was over, but I told you I'll do it all over again. At your place on a spring break, a heartache, I'll do it all over again. And I tell you too, to say that I'm happy for the two of you. You wanna be friends, but I don't think I can. But I wanna be happy, happy for
Steve and I have $1,000. This channel has more than double.
Good morning, everyone. It's Casey. I am doing well on this Friday. How is everyone else doing? I hope you guys are doing good. I can see that we got Ben here and Yugoslav and Win and David, Israel, Jordan, Pierre. Thank you guys for coming. And I hope you guys are having a great weekend. And we're going to look at some more gold today. And so to get started, how many of you guys were able to grab the gold trade from Wednesday? I remember, if you guys remember, Ben and I were having a discussion about it. And it ended up going up. So that was pretty good. So we made, some of us were able to do it. Hey, Ben. Ben is the man, the myth, and the legend. So should I just, is that what you're saying? You want me to call you that now? Chris. I wouldn't be talking to you if it wasn't live. Hello. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and just get started. The first thing I wanted to mention is just go ahead and hit that like button. That would be really helpful. Get started. Get as many people in as we possibly can, and also make sure you guys subscribe and hit the notification because I'm doing updates all the time, new videos all the time. You don't want to miss it. And also we do giveaways on Wednesday. And the last giveaway we tried to do was for our community. And it's $1,000 a year, and we were doing a 1-year community, and it's really pretty tremendous. So I think for those of you guys that are into Forex, you'd really like that. Oh, so Ben. Thank you. All right. Yeah, I'm awake now. I've been awake for a little while, but okay. All right. So guys, let's go ahead and get started. I want to just thank everyone again for being here, and we're going to start. I'm going to move this out of the way, but I want to start by looking at gold. So do you guys remember, let's see if your guys' memory is better than mine. Do you guys remember where the trade we took was?
Let me delete this because there's extra junk on it. Gold. Do you guys remember the trade we took on Wednesday? All right, so gold. All right, so I like what we're seeing here. I really like what we're seeing. So I'm gonna go over it. On Wednesday, what was Wednesday? It's the 9th, so Wednesday was the 7th. So Wednesday we were actually I got in here, and my timing was off a little bit, if you guys remember. Okay, so I got in right here. Alrighty, you see that? That was my entry on Wednesday. And it pulled back, and where'd it go? It went, let me zoom up because you guys can't see that. It's too small. Too small. All right, so Wednesday this was our entry. Do you guys remember that? And so if you had gotten in here, there was a possibility to get here. Okay, there was a possibility, all right, to get a small, tiny profit. But I put my stop down below this because I knew that was a key level, and went right back down. And I talk about this a lot, and it went right into here. And then there was a much better entry here. This was a much better entry. And so it takes a little patience. But again, I wasn't in front of the charts at that time. But that's why if we trade with the trend, it helps. Right, it helps because our timing was off. We could have grabbed a few pips here, but our timing was off, and it still followed the trend line, and we ended up with a nice winning trade right there. Okay, so that was the setup. Didn't even come near our stop. We had plenty of room, and now we're retesting. Another thing to note about this is the fact that it crossed over the moving average, right? It crossed over the 50-period moving average. So this cross over the 50 was a decent trade, 80 pips. This cross over the moving average was 200 pips. So the thing about gold is it moves a lot. And so now what am I looking at? Let's do a daily. All right. So daily, I was actually expecting this, believe it or not. Why? Well, because we're right up at the moving average. We also hit some support. You see that? And this is when I say support, I'm talking about when I say support, you know what I mean. I mean resistance. Here was the support over here. Here was the support and the moving average, right? And there's also a trend line. Okay. So right now, we're still technically moving down. We're below all of the 200-period moving averages. So we're in a downtrend. So this is actually breaking right now. Okay. This is breaking. It could be headed lower because we actually had the W pattern already kind of happened. The W pattern, you can see it didn't quite go up to a full W, but it went here. And so there we go. So it broke now. It's breaking this trend. Okay. And it's breaking these lows. It could be a head fake to go higher. That's something you got to remember. If the market wants to go higher, it will fake people out. So we're not sure, but it might also come back down here and try to make a triple bottom as well, or come back here and come up. I'm still leaning towards the upside, but again, I can't predict the future, and I'm not going to try, right? I'm just going to look and see what the market's doing. So right now it's following the downtrend, so I am going to have to honor what the market is doing, even though I still feel like it's going to go up. I'm not going to take a trade based on that, okay? So Mr. Peace, you're long on gold, And with market price point, I'm thinking it's already a bad idea. Okay, so with that being said, yeah, if you're in a bad trade, wait and be patient. If you're long and you want to be patient, then do that, right? Do that. Don't let the thing take you out. The thing about trading that's really critical is your risk is really important, okay? So if you want to keep your losers really tiny, right? So when you're in a loss, get out quick and get back in, take that small loss and get back in. So right now, if we look, let's look at a 4 hour, see what we can see. We do have a support level right here, okay? So it hasn't gone through this, but we did get something really interesting when we had this trend line break, okay? So that trade's already played out, right? And so we could be headed here. We have some resistance here. We have some areas for some resistance, but we do have these moving averages pulling up, right? They're starting to point up. All right. So let's zoom out a little bit. Okay. We have resistance right here. You see that? And it hit that perfectly. And so right now, this is a critical area. This is where we're going to see what happens right here. But I believe that we could catch these moving averages and we can catch another bounce. I really believe that somewhere in here we can catch a bounce. However, right now the trend is sideways. Technically, it's sideways, and the MACD is moving lower. Price just broke a moving average, so we got to watch that. Let's look at it on an hourly time frame and see what the hourly is saying. So the hourly just turned negative, right? So even if, and this is where patience comes in handy, even if we end up stalling out here, it might take some time before it makes another move up. It might go do, and then up, right? So it likes to base out. We like to get consolidation. And why do I say that? Well, look what happened up here, right? The market likes to stall, and then it makes its move. So to me, when I was not as good of a trader, I would always try to get in here, 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 and then it would stall and then it would go the other way. But now that I have a little more experience, I'm like, okay, it might bounce right back here, but more than likely it's going to stall a little while and then make the move. And so then I will have some time. But the hard part is being patient, right? Being patient and waiting for that move, okay? And so like Ben says, you got to be prepared for a decent drawdown, but I honestly feel like you shouldn't take a big drawdown. You should actually close the trade soon and then get back in, right? So if you're in here, let's just use this as an example. Let's say that we were taking this trade. As a matter of fact, in our trading room, in our community, we took this trade. And what we did was we went here, we had this, and we took this, okay? And I haven't talked to my coach to see if he actually made money or if he lost, but one thing I know about my coach is that he always takes really tiny losses. So let's zoom it up here, and let's look at it on a 15-minute time frame. So we're going to go to 15-minute. And so this is what we were looking at. Right? We were looking at this, right? We were like, oh, long, and then it faked us out, right? So I'm saying all of this just to say, guys, if this was your trade, and I'm talking to Mr. Peace, if this was your trade, Mr. Peace, please don't hold it all the way down here because this is really racking up big gains. It would be much better. It would be much better to get out. You draw your trend line like this. I like to draw trend lines, and I'll put my stop loss here. But then if I get this strong candle in the break, I'm out, right? So here was my entry. Okay, my entry was right here. Okay, on the way down, it breaks this trend line. Okay, so actually I could calculate this. Where would my loss be, right? Where would my loss be? Well, let's pull up the marker here. my entry would be right here, and it was up about 18 pips. And when it breaks that trend line, it moved down about 5 pips. So it would only be a very small 5 pip loser, right? Rather than holding it and hoping for it to turn around where you're down 150 pips, right? And so the thing is, I don't know what's going to happen with this. So if I'm trying to hold, unless I'm a really long-term trader, and I do a lot of long-term trades, but I usually do those with options. Like this week, I bought some gold options on the week time frame, because I saw this double pattern, this double bottom. So I bought a weekly call for the price to move up. And today we're actually, if we look at our weekly chart, it's actually getting a really strong pin bar on the weekly. So I went long because of the pin bar, and now I got another pin bar. And so what that is indicating to me is that we're still in this consolidation, right? So it's still making up its mind which way it wants to go. This hasn't closed yet. So we could still get a big pop back up or a pop lower, but right now we're still in this consolidation, right? So, oh, and by the way, guys, if you're interested at all in the community, I'm not going to push this real hard, but if you're interested in the community, you can click that link in the chat. Let me do that real quick. At all in the community, I'm not going to push this real. The chat has it. And I'll just throw it over here. Here's a replay on how to get into the community. And it's pretty long, but it's really cool. I had such a fun time, and we had so many people, and it's closing down here in a couple days. So if you're interested, you could go ahead and grab it. It's a pretty sweet deal. All right. So with that being said, guys, let me show you something else I wanted to show you. So this was a comment I got from Cal, who just joined up. Cal said, I came with some doubts, but after I can say that I really want the community to succeed. And honestly, it has nothing to do with me, really. If you watch the video, I talk about John, who's the coach, and he's really the guy. John is the guy that does it. But we got this comment too. This just came in. This is from Martin. He says, we just got up to a 60-pick win from Don. Don's another one of our trading coaches. So it's a live community. Everybody's there to help each other. And you can just click the link if you're interested. All right, so enough about that. Okay, so right now we're in a consolidation zone, right? So as I had stated, I think we can hit some support here, but I'm going to be patient, right? I'm going to be very patient. So here's what we're looking at. We'll have a trend line. There's different ways to draw trend lines. This is the 45-degree angle trend line, okay? More like that. And because it was such a steep drop, it's hard to draw it at a 45, right? Because we could do that. Doesn't quite do it. We can draw this one, which is a little steeper. I'm not good at angle math, but this is a little steeper than a 45. I don't know. Maybe we could get some geometry people here. But these trend lines are earlier entries, but a lot of times they're not quite as good as the 45 break. So we could be patient and wait. But my favorite ones are when we wait for this to consolidate and then catch it. So if it consolidates, if it breaks, there's some things that we can happen. And you guys should be used to me doing this by now, but we could go like this, hits here, maybe goes lower, consolidates, and then breaks. If it does something like that, this would be a great entry. And then once it here, we hit consolidation and it breaks up. Or maybe it just does, this. It breaks up. Whoa, wrong button. It breaks up and then comes back and then goes to the next level. So again, this is how the market moves. We're trying to anticipate the market. We're not trying to predict. We're just trying to see. I mean, we are trying to predict. Don't get me wrong. Trading's predicting. But we wait for the market to do what we expect. Then we make the move, right? And we keep our risk really tiny. So right now, we're already starting to get some pushback here. And if, I'm doing some hourly charts, but if we go to a lower time frame, let's look at a 15-minute, we're starting to get some patterns forming. You know, we had this pattern. You see consolidate, consolidate, fake out, and then move. This is a very common pattern, by the way. This is a very common pattern. And let me just explain it. So the market's always doing a couple different things. It's consolidating, and it's moving and moving. But one pattern, like this is a pattern, I should probably do a full video on this. I don't even know what they call it. But it does this, and then it comes up and then fakes, right? You see that? Boom. Comes up and fakes. And you want to get to the point where you are getting yourself used to these types of patterns and learning as many of them as you can, because the more familiar you are with the patterns, the better it's going to be. So here's what you could do as a trader. And I know this is crazy. I know this is crazy, but it just comes from experience. But let's say we don't know what's going to happen here. But if we do this and we go long here, we got the breakout, we go long, and then we see this move, we're able to identify this pattern. And you're like, okay, now I'm going to go short here. So you just went long, took a small loss, reversed, and then went short. And now if you do this, guys, this is a series. Yeah, Ben just nailed it. Ben, you get the gold star. Ben nailed it. And so he nails it. So he gets the award. Let me turn up the volume.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's a consolidation and a stop hunt and a drop. That's exactly what it's doing. The market's trying to shake people out, and that's exactly what happens. So nice work there. That's the key. Okay, but listen, this doesn't happen all the time, but it happens a lot. It happens a lot. I actually grabbed a really nice trade. I could probably find it last week. No, actually, it was earlier this week. I grabbed a really nice trade. Let me go back and find it. It was on the pound yen. So let me show you. Let me show you. Okay, so pound yen made some moves down, and it was, I think it was in here. And so we had the same pattern. You guys see it? Can anyone spot it? It's actually there twice. Can you guys spot it? Where is it? You let me know if you can see it in the comments. It's right here. Consolidation, up, and then down. Okay, and then look where it is again, right? Consolidation, up, and then down. Okay, and then here's the reversal. Look, consolidation, down, and then up. You see how that works, right? And so that is a really powerful pattern that I want you guys to really get the hang of finding. But the problem is we don't know which way it's going to go, right? We really don't. But that's where my trend line analysis comes in. So when I'm doing this, oh, I just took a loss. So it really messes trend line traders up, right? Especially if you're doing the tighter, lower trend lines. That's why I like the bigger trend lines. But even so, this was so steep, right? This one was so steep, it would have been hard to get. This one would have been so steep, it would have been hard to get. But the way I traded this, right? The way I traded this was I went to a lower time frame. Let's do that. Let's go to a lower time frame. And I was able to do something that was pretty interesting. So let's go back here and I'll show you what I did. Which day was it? Where are we at? We're on the 5th. So it was actually like on the 7th. Okay, so here it is, right? This is the actual pattern that I was able to grab. So what I did was I'm like, okay, and again, I knew the pound was bullish and it had been bullish, but there was room for it to go lower, right? So I first do my analysis on the higher time frame, and that helps, right? So I went to the higher time frame and I was like, okay, the MACD's green and it's still got room. I said I was like right here. And so I'm looking at the 4-hour MACD and I'm like, oh man, this has room, right? So what I did was I'm like, okay, I think it's going lower. So I made my analysis based off of what the 4-hour time frame was doing, right? So then once I had done that, then I'm like, oh, okay, let's go to the 15-minute and try to find a trade, okay? And so I was able to avoid the fake out pattern. And let's do this. It was, okay, so I was able to avoid the fake out pattern, but what I was looking for was for price action to set up. So here's what I was talking about, right? You see this, fake up and then down, right? That same pattern, right? And actually it did it twice, and sometimes it'll do it twice. You got to look, you went sideways, fake down. Oh, it's going lower. Everybody's like, the MACD 4-hour, it's going lower. But then it faked up, and then it finally made the move, right? And so I actually grabbed both of these. And so what I did was I grabbed this one here, and I put my trend line here, and I was able to grab this one. So I was able to grab two really solid trades. And I know it's easy to see in hindsight, but I'm trying to show you guys what's happening in the future and also in the past, right? Because we can't, it's easy to be what they call the, they call those the, whatever, the cherry pickers. It's easy to be a cherry picker, guys. That's a really, really easy thing to do. But let's not be cherry pickers. So here was the setup again, same pattern. Now that you guys showed you this, you'll probably be able to see these down and then up, right? Down and then up. Okay, so there we have it, right? So now the key is to try to find these, right? Whenever you get the fake, here's one here, down, the leg, they call this the leg. The key is to find the leg. Yeah, hindsight's 2020. Hindsight's 2020, but you know what? Hindsight is good. Don't get me wrong. I love to look at the past, but there's a reason to look at the past. And the reason for me to look at the past is try to find what's going to happen in the future. And that's not just trading, that's life. I've got a lot of friends, and hopefully you have a lot of friends. If you don't, get some friends and get some good ones. But a lot of friends are like, hey, you know, the good old days, right? The good old days. Well, I look back at the good old days when the market was great, right? I like the good old days and I want to enjoy my memories, but I do it because I'm looking to the future, right? So you know, again, I'm getting into some personal stuff here. The personal stuff is look at the past and enjoy it. Live in the moment. Enjoy every minute, because really we are living for the moments that we're living in, and look to the future to make a better future, right? So there's the big three for you this morning. Look to the past, present, and future, and don't neglect or favor one or the other, right? You can't be a person that looks only to the future, then you're jacked up. You can't be a person that looks at the past and wishes everything was in the past. And you definitely can't only live for the moment, because you're going to mess up your past and your future if you only live in the moment. But you got to be enjoying every minute as you go on. So for that little extra bonus philosophy, the bonus philosophy, you guys can hit the like button for that. Can you do that? Smash that like button for me for the philosophy bonus. That's the bonus for today. Okay, so with that being said, you know what else we got to do, which I haven't done yet, is I didn't bring up my spreadsheet. And so we had that last gold trade, which I put right here. We'll go back and just show you where my entry was, because for those of you guys that didn't see it, you see that? I have my stop loss back there, and I have my entry. And so it went and it broke up and then went right back into here and ended up being a pretty solid trade. So that was the spreadsheet. And I don't know if we're going to find a trade for today, but we really have 2 more trades left. But one of the things I want to mention about this spreadsheet is that first thing I wanted to
volume, GLS.
Oh man, I hit the wrong button. Sorry about that. Okay. You see this? It's really impossible to lose now, right? And I've talked about this as well. And this is called what I like to call the position of power, which means if you get a couple really big winners and you keep your losses small, you can now lose a lot of trades in a row, which we're going to try to avoid. But you can lose a lot of trades in a row and still be profitable. So right now I could lose the rest of my trades and still make money, right? And that's really where we want to be with our trading, is where we're start building, and then get yourself in the habit of not letting any big losers get your account, right? Don't worry about taking a few losers, because right now, if I'm averaging $10 losses, I can take like 22 losses in a row. Right? I don't want to do that. I'd rather take a 22 win streak in a row, right? But that's what I'm looking at. And so since we have a lot of also newer people that weren't
take a 22 win streak.
A lot of newer people that weren't around in the past, I want to show you this little money management strategy I have, which helps me scale my winners, right? And I had talked about this before, but John and I, if you're in the members community, we go into some more detail, like John does specifically on this. But we have a 3%, a 1 risk and a 3 gain. So if you win, you make 3%, right? And if you lose on the next trade, you make 1%, because we're doing a 1% loss and a 3% gain. So if you can stack some of your winners, like in this case, you win 3, but then you take your winning percentage gain and you roll it into the next trade, your next winner becomes a 12% winner, right? Because you're rolling your profit forward. And if you end up losing this, you're still only going to lose 1%, right? And so if you can manage to put a win streak together, you're going to accelerate your profits by getting some really big winners. And then that's exactly what I talked about in here, where you're able to, get some big trades. And so that's what I've been doing, is I've been stacking my winners, trying to get some big winners. And you can see that it absolutely worked. And so now if you can try to do that, but again, it's all based off of managing your risk, being a good disciplined trader. And it just takes time and practice. Takes time and practice, guys. So now that's it for me just chatting. Let's see if we can find a trade. Okay, so the USD, nice pin bar setup. I like what I'm looking at. I still need a little more time though. So I'm probably not going to take a trade today just because of being a Friday, right? So Fridays will not always take a trade on a Friday unless something is setting up right early in the morning. Other than that, I'm just going to wait. So, but right now this is looking pretty good. We're right at support, and I am looking for a break to the upside. Because why? Because that's just what we've been getting for a while. We did have this 1 hour break, so we are currently in a little bit of a downward momentum. So let's take a look, and this is why we look at everything. We currently have this little trend channel, and you guys know I like this pattern as well, right? I like this pattern. So you put a couple of these patterns together and it gets pretty powerful, right? So here's why. Here's why. So remember the pattern that we just talked about, that fake pattern? So if we get that fake pattern and that starts to form, well, maybe the price goes up here and then we come down here. Let's just say that this channel holds and that's what happens. Well, when it gets here, what might happen? What is a logical situation right here? Well, we're going to get that little consolidation. We get a fake down and then a move up, right? And so if we know that that's going to happen or that it could happen, we're going to be ready for it, right? We're going to be ready for the fake and pop, the fake and pop. We're going to be ready for that because we already know that that happens quite a bit because the market knows where it wants to go, but it's going to take some time to get there. So whenever you're at a support level, you're like, okay, which way is this thing really going to go? You know, which way does the big boys want this to go? Think about all the people that are in the market. What are they thinking? Which way are they going to go? Because they're not going to go there without a fight. They're not going to go there without a shakeout. It's just how the market works. Because, and trust me, I know, because I've been faked out so many times. If you've been faked out like me, hit that like button. Let me know what you think. I just saw my comments. I gotta give Ben a shout out, man. He's on point today. So Ben, congratulations on that gold trade. Hey man, I appreciate it. That's actually another philosophy moment, and that is you know, cheering people on, right? If I like to cheer people on rather than complain, and I'm trying to build people around. Like if you're on the channel, I want other people to cheer each other on. So that's pretty cool. Right? And so Ben also has another good comment, and he says, the best way to see that pattern is to minimize the chart and look at it from a distance. That's true. That is true. So if you're trying, if you have if you are looking at analysis and we're looking for a bounce here, okay, and we think that it's going to try to fake us out, well, you use your higher time frame. You zoom out and you're like, okay, I'm not going to let the market shake me out by zooming in. Because what happens is you're like, okay, this thing's going up, but then you get to a 1 minute time frame and you're like, oh man, it's going down, right? So here is an example of it. If we have a possibility of, and this is a tinier one, but it still happened. Wow, that's really bad. Here's a tinier one. You see, that's not good. It goes like this, fake down, and then went up. You see, so it still went fake down. But even here's one, right? This one faked up and then down, and then this one faked down and went up. And so if we're looking for the bounce here, right? If we're looking for the bounce, well, we know that the market is going to fake, right? We know that it's going to try to fake somebody. It always tries to fake. And another, you know what's so great about the fake? Why do you guys, and this is my star students can answer this one. And if you're not a star student, don't worry about it. You can still try. I want everybody to participate. That's what I like. But think about this. Why do you think the fake outs work so well? Why does the market have so much success with fake outs? What do you guys think about that? That is part of it. Ben's right. Absolutely right. Let me show his answer. Absolutely right. But why else? Why else do they work so well? It is for liquidity to make the, because you got to have liquidity. That's why there's consolidation. That's why there's consolidation, because of the liquidity. But why do you guys think that it works so well? Think about your own personal trading. Why do they work so well on you? Okay, and now I know you're like, I know he ain't talking to me because I'd never been faked out in my life. I know that's what some of you are thinking. I've never fallen for a fake out. What is this dude? Is this dude crazy? No, but seriously, why do they work so well on you? I know why they work on me. I'll give you guys, come on, think about it. Why has anybody here ever been faked out? Let's start with that. Has anybody been faked out? Yes or no? Yes or no? Anybody? Anybody gone in the wrong direction and then it go the exact opposite? Has that ever happened to anyone here but me? Okay, so Ben says big time. Okay, good. So Pierre's happened. Ben's had it. Okay, so there's 3 of us are in the club. Heinrich's in the club. Thank you, Heinrich. Glad that someone's actually paying attention. Good. Okay, And yeah, Ben's right again. It's trader psychology. But this is what I'm thinking, and I don't know if this is psychology, and I guess it is, but for me, it's FOMO. It's fear of missing out, right? That is what it is. So like right here, oh man, it's going lower because see this candle, it's green, but at one point, this candle looked like this. You see this big red candle? That's what this looked like. This was a big red candle and it was headed lower and it was breaking lows. Right down here, it was breaking the low. Okay, right there, breaking the low. Okay, so what are the traders thinking, right? Oh no, it's going lower and I'm going to miss the next move. There's 100 pips below to the resistance level, to the support level, and I'm going to miss it. So I need to get in, right? All those FOMO dudes get here, right? And I'm big on FOMO because I don't like missing opportunities. I'm not so there is the analysis paralysis crowd, the people that are too afraid to pull the trigger. I think a lot of the traders are more on the other side, which is the FOMO, which is me. I'm not an analysis paralysis guy. I've never had a trade that I didn't want to take. I am a trigger pulling crazy man. Okay. I do talk to some people with analysis paralysis and I don't really understand, but I'm more of a FOMO guy, right? And so I hate missing opportunities. I love getting all the big moves. So with that being said, when the reason I would take this one right here short is because I don't want to miss it. So if we're looking at a higher time frame, right, we see that there's an hourly chart here, and we see there's some room. Oh, this is a level. This is breaking. This level's breaking. We're on a breakout, and it's going to go lower. And if it does, it's going to continue the new lows, and we're going to go all the way down here, and I'm going to miss out on $1,000, right? And so it's like, oh, and then the next thing you know, I go long, I go short, and then the market takes me out, right? And so understanding how you feel, we're going to psychology, understanding how you feel and why you're doing what you're doing and why other traders are doing what they're doing is a really big part of this. So understanding the candles, but then understanding what's happening behind the candles is really important, and understanding the different patterns and the directions. And so right now we do still have this downtrend in play, right? This downtrend is in play. But again, if you guys have, and I could be way off, but if you guys have seen me at all, I am looking at a bigger picture. I'm looking out, let's go to the weekly, right? I'm thinking that this is just a wedge. This is just a wedge now on a much bigger weekly pattern. Okay, so we're just consolidating. In my mind, this is what I believe, right? I just think that we're getting ready to break this. And when this breaks, I think we're going back to 2000 and beyond, right? So that's what I'm thinking. But again, gold is so big, and it moves so much, you can make money on anything. I could short this thing last night and made a $20,000. I could have shorted this thing on this breakout last night and made $20,000 on this move. You can make $20,000 a day going both directions, right? But you just have to be very careful. You have to be very careful in what you're doing. And I like to do the full-time analysis, understanding what's happening, and then looking at different patterns and trying to really manage your risk. So right now, we're getting that consolidation. So what I'm expecting to happen now is for this just to consolidate a little bit until it finally decides to make its move. It's Friday, so I'm not really going to make a trade here. But I am going to be patient, right? So, I mean, it could take off straight up. It does do that sometimes. but a lot of times you get consolidation. So even here, you see consolidate, and then when it finally made its move, it made its move. Consolidate, made its move. And the thing is, with these moves that happen, most of the time, a good trader is waiting, right? Most of the time, a good trader is waiting. Because if you're trading in here, what good is that, right? There's like a 2-hour period in here from 10:05 to 14. This is 4 hours. This is a 4-hour period right in here. This is 4 hours, okay? What good is it taking a trade in here, right? This is 4 hours, and how long is this, right? This period's 4 hours, but then this move is from 14:30 to 16. So this is 4 hours for a 2-hour move, right? And sometimes the moves are even shorter. You know, sometimes this will happen in an hour. Sometimes you'll wait 6 hours for a 1-hour move. It just takes patience, right? Which is another reason why sometimes the longer trade frames can be a little better, because you can wait on the daily to happen, right? So if we look at this on a daily, let's look at this. You know, if you're going to be patient, it's easier to look at the market once a day. In this zone, we got to be really patient in here, right? Oh, okay. We had, 2 weeks of sideways, and this is like a DNT. We call that a DNT, do not trade. A DNTZ, do not trade zone, right? So we wait for it to break out. When it broke out, we had a good trade here. And then we had a trend line here, and when it took that out, it went right up, right? So, okay, let's see what we got here. Another great trick is to put a box around the consolidation period and just wait for a break. Highly probable that way. Yes, I totally agree. However, remember that one pattern that we had mentioned, which was the the fake. So here's a box, right? And then it broke out of the box, and then it went lower, right? And so that is something you got to be aware of, is the fake, right? Because that is a real situation. However, with that being said, if you're a short-term trader, right? Look, if you're short-term, this is the box. You could actually grab this trade because there's enough room here to get this. But you just know that don't hold on to it, right? Here's another one. This is a box, and look what happened. It broke out and went down. So you could grab this trade, but you're not going to catch a trend like that, right? You're not going to get a big trade. So if you're going to trade the break of the box, remember that it could fake. And if you're doing it even on a lower time frame, you got to be careful, because it'll break out of the box and then slap on you hard. And that's actually what we had happen this morning. And Mr. Peace, I don't know what trade he had because he didn't really talk about it, but he was in a little bit of pain, right? So I'm assuming, and again, you know what happens when you assume, but I'm assuming Mr. Peace did something like this. You have the box, right? You get out of it, you take the trade of the box, and then it goes the other way, right? And so there you have it. So this is actually pretty interesting. We had a really nice pullback and a fake. Again, another fake, right? Look what happened. This candle faked lower, and now we're headed higher. So we got a pretty good, so the smart traders were patient, and they might be getting in here, right? They didn't fall for this. They got in and they get in here, and there's a possible trade here. Okay, and this is only a 5-minute chart, but you could actually try to grab it to here. And that's, that's 50 pips, right? 50 pips, and I think we could easily get there, right? And so what would we do? Again, well, Linda, you can't know you can't know things in advance, but you can know that this pattern that you're seeing, boom, boom, you know that this pattern happens every day in the market. So you don't know that it's gonna do it, but you do know that this pattern happens every day. So all you know is the pattern, and then you try to find it, right? So a couple ways that we can trade this. So let's say that we got a trend like this, right? And we get a pattern sideways, and it comes up, and then it breaks down, and then it goes lower, right? And so you can be aware of that, and you can do a couple things. You can grab this trade, or you can wait for it to come, and then you grab the trade on the downside. But another scenario with this, let me another scenario, right, is this. You guys got me on the whiteboard now. You got the trend line, you got consolidation, fake, up, and then remember this trend line, right? The trend line still holds. It comes back down here and then goes up, right? And so just remember that when you get a breakout, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a big one, right? And so that's why if you take your profit when you got it, you can increase your win rate. So it's really important that everybody just sits back, thinks about these types of things, and really plans out what you want to do. And know ahead of time, know ahead of time. So we got a trend line, we got consolidation, and I'm going to say, okay, I know that the market's could go up here, and if it's an uptrend, what I like to do, as you guys know, trade the uptrend, right? We got the ladder, and I think it's going to go up here. So I like to just wait for the trend line to break in the direction of the trend, right? That's my favorite, right? So, and then if it does this and it doesn't, it comes back down, consolidates, and then I draw another one of these, and then I come back out, right? And it could even do this and then come up. So the market's always going to do that, always. And and you can't know it in advance, but it's always going to do consolidate and break. But it might do a break and hook, might do a break and hook back, but it's going to try to do one last little fake. And boy, I cannot believe. So for everybody that's in this session today, we got 42 people. Hit the like button. But how many of you thought that you would sit and watch a grown man draw scribbly lines and talk about those scribbly lines? How many knew you were going to do that when you woke up today? If you did, because I didn't know I was going to sit there and stare at green lines on a white piece of paper today. I had no idea I was doing that. But get used to those patterns, right? Get used to them. Remember how they work. Understand what the market is doing. Hold your ground on your plan. And you're not going to be right all the time. But what you don't want to do is change your plan because of fear of missing out, right? Okay, so okay, so let me talk about Ben's plan, and why don't you make it objective, right? Make it objective by 4 rules. So let's talk about this, okay? Good, well thought out comment. So number 1, trend lines. Number 2, wait for consolidation. Number 3, wait for fake, and then wait for the real trend in the opposite direction. Well, that is a great rule. That's a great thing. So let's draw the trend. So we have this. This is a big daily trend. Okay, that's what we're looking at. Now, we're going to go up. And so we have the trend line. So step 1 is trend line. So when we come down here, we got the consolidation, right? And then you get in the fake and then comes back and you go for it. And you know what? That could be the strategy, right? Go for it. That is the trade. Or we do this, right? It comes in, does that, fakes to the downside, and then you wait for the price action to show you that it's going to go back. You draw like another little tinier trend line here, and you get this trade. And you know what? That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's exactly the trading strategy that we need to have. Now, with that being said, you don't have to, you can make this adjustment for whatever you want to be, whatever you want to do, because of one issue. And that is that it doesn't always fake. So you could actually do step 1, step 2, right? You could do step 1 or 2 and not do the fake because it doesn't always fake, right? Or maybe, or it could fake multiple different directions. You get the consolidation, it could fake up, down, then go. You get the consolidation, it can fake down, up, and then go back down, right? So you don't really know which way the fake is going to go, or if there is a fake, because it might just consolidate and then go, right? So I'm not saying what to do here, but here's the really thing and the reason I'm not saying what to do is I agree with Ben, make it objective, but it depends on what kind of trader you are and how much patience you have. There's nothing wrong with taking the first trade. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with adding an additional step and waiting for a retrace. Nothing wrong with doing that. If you do wait for a retrace, just know you're not always going to get into the trade. Okay, and that's just the way it is. The other thing is if you take the trade, so if you wait for step 4 and wait for the retake, you're not always going to get into the trade. But if you take every trade, then you have the reverse problem. There will be times when you're faked out, right? So either way, there's a risk and there is no perfect answer here. You just have to decide which one you're comfortable with. Now, one solution to that, to the fake out, is if you're doing a bigger time frame, if you're doing a daily, hourly, 4-hour, even an hourly, it works, and you give your trade a little bit of room, well, then you give yourself a little bit of room for fakes. That's what I did on gold this week. Do you guys remember the Wednesday trade on gold? Let's go back and look at it. I gave myself a little bit of room for the fake, right? And it worked out just fine. So let's go back, right? And that's where trading with the trend helps, right? So I got faked, but I gave myself some room. So we got in here. This was my entry. And you see the pattern: consolidate, break up, and then break down, and then go, right? But I put my stop here. And so I took the original trade, but I knew that there was a possibility of a fake. And so I gave myself some room on the stop loss, right? So you can really never go wrong by giving yourself a little bit of extra room on a stop loss, because you're going to increase your winning percentage that way. And you're also realizing that the market is going to try to fake those people, right? And so Chris is the master right now. We're going to give Chris a shout out. Right? Chris is the shout out, because while I'm blabbering, Chris took the trade, right? And I'm not afraid to trade in front of people. I just wanted to be patient, right? I was thinking about this trade. It didn't consolidate. It just bounced, right? And that does happen sometime. So congratulations on Chris. Great job, man. Everybody hit that like button for Chris. He deserves it. He did a great job. All right. So I'm not trading today just because it's Friday and the market will be closing. So we could have done some smaller term stuff. And maybe we'll do that if I get enough likes. I might do some more short-term trading, like on the 5-minute charts. If people like that, we can do that. But hit that like button. Make sure you guys subscribe. I really appreciate everybody. And Mr. Saint, thank you so much for your comment. Chris, thank you. Ben, thank you. Linda, thank you. Heinrich and Pierre. Really appreciate all you guys. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and have a really awesome weekend. I really appreciate every single person that's here. And I want you guys all to do well. Thank you.